It has been delightful, and it will continue to be delightful overnight, but we're going to start to see some changes in the coming days as the humidity level starts to rise, and the temperatures will too, peaking Friday when we could see highs well up into the 90s in some places, and then we have to start throwing in the chance for some thunderstorms. Meanwhile, across the U.S. today, yeah, there are some areas that are getting pounded with thunderstorms, but much of the U.S. is actually in a pretty decent place weather-wise. We still do have heat, though, in the middle. We'll talk all about that and more tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And you can support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast if you shop on Amazon. Use our referral link that's pinned to the top of the chat board or on the description of this podcast on YouTube underneath the title. You just do your shopping, and Amazon throws us back a little bit of coin for sending you there. It doesn't cost you 1 cent out of your own pocket. The only effort you have to make is to actually click on the link and shop. And we hope you do on our referral link on Amazon. And Tempest by Weatherflow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system, and I have one. Enjoying the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link for this is on the description to this podcast, along with the Amazon link. Use that coupon code. If you are going to buy anything on the website, you want to use that coupon code Summer 2025. Because if you don't use it, Joe,
then you will not get 10% off.
I threw you a little curveball. So the point is use it, and this way you get 10% off. So you had just a delightful day today.
It was wonderful. I did the lawn. It was great.
Yes.
We had scattered to broken cumulus clouds. We dipped down this morning to 58 degrees. I was surprised. I would have thought we would get to 56. By the way, yeah, I've had my prediction from last night from where I live was 56, but we only got down to 58, but still enjoyed every moment of the day today. Did you hear, Joe, Saranac Lake in the Adirondacks? 34 degrees this morning.
Oh, yeah. There were 40s into parts of Connecticut, too.
I mean, if it got any chillier, we'd be seeing the first frost warning.
Yeah, I have not seen, right. I have yet, I have in the last summers that I've been here, so this will be the 21, 22, 23, 24. This will be my fifth summer here. We get our first lows in the 50s sometime during the month of August. So I'm waiting for that because that's sort of a monumental event down here in the South when the first cold front comes through. After a couple of months of not seeing a cold front come through, people just jump for joy.
Well, it's always great to have cool weather in what normally is a very humid, very sticky month. And speaking of humid and sticky, you haven't seen anything yet until we get to Friday. Friday still looks like a scorcher with temperatures, as you just alluded to, rising well up into the 90s. And yes, when we get to Friday night into the weekend, we also have to include the possibility of some scattered showers and thunderstorms.
I don't know if you looked far enough into the long range, but if you look, August 1st comes at next week, the end of next week. And if you take a look at the European today, because if you think this air mass is cool, you should see the one that it's picking up on. And the thing is, usually it's the GFS that loves to do this. And I have to be honest, I have really not used that model very much lately because of how squirrely it's been. So when the Europeans got an air mass like this one, like the one it's showing, you can only hope that it is true if you want a real cool shot of weather, because I think it could probably, if it were to verify, I think this next air mass will make the one you just had look pale by comparison in terms of how cool it will be.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it. I would have enjoyed seeing that kind of an air mass this weekend because I'll be joining my cohort up in Vermont Mr. Cassia at the annual Stellophane conference in Springfield, Vermont. For those of you who don't know what Stellophane is, I could very simply put it this way: it's kind of like a Woodstock with telescopes, where you got
Right.
about a thousand people gather on what is known as Breezy Hill in central Vermont. During the day, there's some talks and lectures. The keynote lecture is Saturday evening, and then after the sky gets really dark, everybody runs over and looks at the sky with their various instruments, their telescopes, their cameras, their binoculars. There have been years when we haven't been able to do that because of clouds. One year, 1976, Joe, it rained so hard and so much that the huge field that many people camp out on became a quagmire, and there were many cars that got stuck. We call that Stella flood, but we haven't had anything like that since then. But we're hoping that we're going to get some reasonably good weather for the weekend. Although, as you said earlier, there could be some thunderstorms scattered about
Yeah.
here in the Northeast this weekend. So we'll see how this all plays out.
All right. Welcome tonight to everybody on the chat board. And for those of you who are lurking in the background, we welcome you too to tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. We are here Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m., although I'm leaning to the idea that we will take Thursday off and come back on Sunday. But we'll finalize that tomorrow. But that's the plan in my head. So bear that in
Okay.
mind. So subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn your notifications on so you don't miss us. And of course, if you like the show, hit the like button. So, on that special note, I think we can now go to the watches and warnings map and take a look at what's going on across the USA. And for the I mean, I don't remember the last day we've had where we didn't have a severe thunderstorm watch up someplace, but we actually do not have any severe thunderstorm watches up anywhere. We do have some flash flood watches up in northeastern Minnesota and northwest Wisconsin, and we also have some in the mountains of Mexico up the I-25 corridor. In fact, there's one of the counties in there in northern New Mexico with a flash flood warning right now. The bigger story is the heat, such as it is. We have heat advisories up and down the Mississippi River Valley with extreme heat warnings for southeastern Missouri, western Kentucky, western Tennessee, much of Mississippi, a good chunk of Arkansas, east northeast Louisiana, and heat advisories that kind of surround all of those areas. We also have some heat advisories up for Massachusetts, Rhode Island, North Interior Connecticut, and Interior Rhode Island. Preemptive, not for tomorrow, but for I don't know. Did they put them up for already for Friday? Would they or for, let's see what they have. Heat advisory, 11 a.m. Thursday to 8 p.m. Friday. So I guess they decided to be a bit preemptive. And on the satellite loop tonight, sky, there are a few patchy clouds around, intermixed with some clearer skies across the Northeast. Actually, much of upstate New York is in the clear. Much of western Pennsylvania, Ohio, doing okay too. But we do have some blow-ups and thunderstorms going on in the southeast, particularly in coastal South Carolina and in southern Georgia. And much of that is actually drifting southwestward, which is, kind of thing you see this time of year rather than lifting up to the northeast. And you can see the frontal boundary lying across Virginia, southern Virginia, and off the North Carolina coast and extending out into the open waters of the Atlantic. Sometimes when you get these frontal boundaries like this, every once in a while, you wind up with a little wave that develops on it, and the wave becomes tropical, and you get a tropical storm or even a hurricane out of it. But that does not appear to be the case this time around.
It does not. And I just took a look, by the way, at the European. I did not go much beyond July 31st, but you're absolutely right, Joe. This year, August may kick off in a unusual style with abnormally cool conditions, and also it looks like rather breezy conditions as well. It's
Yeah,
amazing how the air is going to be funneled literally right into our area, if the European is correct, from Hudson Bay and Great Slave Lake. So
There's a
my birthday,
540, the 546 thickness gets into New York State and Vermont.
yeah,
And that's a 1030. We'll show everybody in a minute. That's a 1031 high. That is very unusually strong for this time of year.
absolutely. You don't see that very often, but there it is.
Yep.
And we're looking for again. Hey, maybe this finally will be the year that it snows on my birthday,
Oh, well,
August August 2nd. Well, I might be
well,
pushing it.
let's say within a long day's driving distance.
Yeah.
Very long days driving distance. We're looking at some showers and storms. You see them firing up in New Mexico and up into Colorado, also up in the northern plains, because we still have this west to east jet moving across southern Canada. So weather systems continue to move along um, one after another, and that's where much of the thunderstorm activity is going to be over the next couple of days in the northern plains and in the upper Midwest. And as we check out the radar, I mean, it's just bone dry from Maine to North Carolina. But as I said, you can see this activity here in South Carolina and particularly in southern Georgia. There's one severe thunderstorm warning box that is up in southeast Georgia, but the storms are moving northeast to southwest. And actually, there's a teeny tiny thunderstorm, Joe, just to my northeast. It's just about coming into my county here. So I don't hear anything. It is gotten a little darker outside, so I'll be paying attention. Also in southern Alabama to the Florida Panhandle, we've got some storms there. And then we go to the west, and you see there's thunderstorms with flash flood warnings up in parts of southwest Texas and into New Mexico. And then right up along I 25, there are showers and thunderstorms all the way up. There's actually a complex of storms there uh, just on the southeast side of Denver and continuing up into Wyoming. You also can see there are storms up in the northern plains over the western part of Lake Superior and up in the northwest across Montana and Idaho, seeing some showers and storms there. No severe thunderstorm watches are in effect at the moment. I will give this a refresh just in case. And nope, nothing. We do have a slight risk in a narrow band from southeast Montana and northeast Wyoming across northern South Dakota and then into southeast North Dakota and then extending up into Minnesota with the marginal risk pushing up to the upper peninsula of Michigan. Also, a marginal risk in the southeast, and that's playing out according to plan. Now, tomorrow, it's a slight risk from northeast Nebraska, northeastward through Minnesota, and the upper northern Wisconsin and the upper peninsula of Michigan. And that comes with a 5% tornado risk in northwest Wisconsin. And on day three, it's a marginal risk basically over the Great Lakes and another area of marginal risk on that I 25 corridor from northern New Mexico on up into southern Wyoming. And as far as rain is concerned, I mean, there's some heavier rains along the Gulf Coast of an inch and a half plus. There's some heavier rains of an inch and a half to 2.5 from the Dakotas northeastward into southern Canada, southeastern Canada. In the Northeast, it's basically a quarter to a half. In the Mid Atlantic, it's basically a half to 3/4 over the next 7 days. No spectacular rains to worry about. Although WPC for tonight has a slight risk in the Southeast, a big area of slight risk in New Mexico into Arizona and West Texas, extending into Colorado, and a slight risk from South Dakota and North Dakota northeastward up into Minnesota and western Wisconsin. Tomorrow, the risk area is in the upper Midwest, matching up with the storm prediction center's slight risk there. And we have a marginal risk in the southeast down into Florida, nothing anywhere else around the country. And then on day three, which is Thursday into Friday, the marginal risk noses into North Carolina from the Gulf Coast. And then you have a slight risk across the middle and upper Mississippi River valleys to southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois. So there you go. So here's the upper air. And, our trough is pulling out upper ridge along the east coast on Thursday. And you also can see that there's a flow out of Canada just to our north. So normally the hottest temperatures occur right at that boundary between that westerly jet and the ridge. And that's going to be the case here on Friday. But as we go through the weekend, the ridge weakens and starts to shift westward, and that turns the flow more northwest. So you start to get these little perturbations that move along, and one's going to approach on Friday, another one on Saturday, and another one on Sunday. I think the Sunday one's probably the stronger one. And then after that, yeah, you mentioned, Joe, there's a wrapped up, the Europeans got this wrapped up upper low in northern Labrador, just off the east shores of Hudson Bay. And it drives a deep trough late next week across the Great Lakes and into the Northeast. And, that's a decent trough. And that would be an exceptionally cool shot of air, particularly for areas, and if this verifies, for areas in upstate New York and in interior New England, it's going to get quite cool with a setup like this.
There's no question that this is an abnormal setup for the month of August. Although I will say, Joe, that in August, especially late August, once we're about 2 months past the solstice, the summer solstice, we begin to see some shots of cool air, the kind of like a preview of what's coming for the autumn or fall season ahead of us. And sometimes you get these outbreaks from Canada. To get it as early as the beginning of August, though, is very unusual indeed. So uh, we'll see whether or not this verifies and whether or not this does happen. But I'll tell you, after going through, spates of humid, sticky conditions, very
It,
humid. This air that we're in right now here in the Northeast, here in the New York area, is indeed most delightful.
and by the way, it has not been a hot, dry summer in Canada this year. In fact, central and northern Canada have been experiencing below average temperatures, from what I understand. One of the things on this upper air that's notable here is that there's an upper low that comes. It starts off just north of the westernmost Aleutians, or it did on Saturday, and then it moved into the Bering Sea, the Bering Straits, and then it starts to dive southward uh, through Alaska and goes into the Gulf of Alaska late next week, and kind of intensifies and then just sits there, rotating around and around. And a Gulf of Alaska low like that, he actually winds up getting reinforced to some degree by another upper low that's coming south of the Aleutians. And that forces the ridging to go up the west coast and up the Rockies. And of course, that starts to drive the northwest flow from Canada into the Northeast and into the Mid Atlantic states and the Great Lakes. And there's another upper low that's kind of getting ready that comes over the top through the Arctic Circle and then drops down into Hudson Bay late in the forecast period. As one trough comes out, another one may come in behind it to replace it. It's a very interesting pattern for August. We haven't seen anything like this in the past number of years.
No, I could remember one August. I think it was August 1979, where it was not only just unseasonably cool but also windy. But that spell of air, as I said, didn't come our way until the middle of the month. And here we're talking about unseasonably cool air right at the start, right near the start of the month of August. And again, that is abnormally cool by at least a couple of weeks or more. So bring it in, bring it on. I fully am hoping that we'll see some of that air when we get into. And the fact is, Joe, that you said that up in northern Canada it hasn't been all that dry, as opposed to, let's say, the last two
All
or
that,
three years.
all that warm. It hasn't been as warm as in past years.
And that, of course, the warm temperatures, the dry conditions have led to forest fires up in northern Canada, which eventually led to smoky conditions. And whenever we got into the northwest flow the last 2 or 3 years, we'd see our normally blue skies go smoky. And it doesn't seem like that's going to happen, or at least if
Yeah,
it does happen, it's not going to happen anywhere near the same levels of what we've seen over the past few years.
I think we've had fewer fires this year. Also, it's been wetter across southern Canada, which has not been the case the last couple of years either. So, it is a bit of a different setup. If the cool air, if your source area of cool air has not been overheated, um, it stands to reason that some of the air masses that are going to be trying to come down may be cooler than what we've been experiencing in past years. So there you go. Now here's our high going offshore tomorrow. We'll probably hang on to I'll call them reasonable dew points in the upper 50s and low 60s tomorrow, but then they will go up to the mid and upper 60s when we get into Thursday. And for some reason, my tropical tidbits maps are got stopped.
For one, turn out a storm.
What's that? Joe, are you there?
Joe, you talking to somebody?
No, no, I'm talking to you.
Joe? Oh, I
I
didn't
know.
know if you were talking.
I just got a little message that said my internet was briefly unstable, but then that went away. No, what I'm saying, well, the dew points are going to come up some tomorrow, but they still won't be too bad. I mean, upper 50s and low 60s. And then we'll be in the mid to upper 60s on Thursday. Now, Friday, we're going to see with west southwest winds, temperatures going up into the mid and upper 90s. The one thing I did notice, though, on the digital forecast, and I'll bring that up, that they've been shaving a degree or so off of it every day. So now it's mostly middle 90s for highs, although it does still have 100 for Baltimore. But, there were 99s around New York City. I mean, it's now they're 97s. There's a 93 for LaGuardia. Islip's only 89. It's actually, in terms of departures from normal, are actually larger when you go up into New England, where you're seeing middle to upper 90s across Massachusetts and southern Vermont. That seems to be where the hottest air is. So there you go. I mean, I think mid to upper 90s is probably a good forecast. I know the European ensembles on the temperatures are all around or just over 100 for highs. I'm not going to rule it out, but I just wonder whether it might be just a little bit overdone. And then, of course, the other difference is that on today's run, there's a little trough and frontal boundary that gets a little bit closer. And it does bring some thunderstorms. The European does actually bring some thunderstorms later Friday afternoon into northern New Jersey and the Hudson Valley, as well as much of upstate New York and New England. So maybe that's the reason why the temperatures are shaved off by a degree or so. I think there's a better chance for storms on Saturday. You see them popping around, and maybe an even higher chance on Sunday. The Europeans got quite the complex here coming through Sunday afternoon and evening, if you want to believe it. And then once that goes by, going into early next week, there's something on Tuesday that goes through. There's a front, and then where it's a little cooler and drier behind it, and then there's a stronger front that comes through on Thursday, and this brings down this high that I was telling you about, 1027 high. Then it becomes a 1029 and a 1031 high in Wisconsin on Saturday, August 2nd. And there's a 546. Actually, the rain snow line, Joe, you're talking about snow. You'll have to drive, maybe if you go north of Montreal, you go toward Labrador, there the thicknesses are actually less than 540. Excuse me. But this is a delightful air mass. I might even get a little dew point relief out of it.
Well, I looked at the La Plumes temperature-wise for LaGuardia, for example, for this coming Friday. You're talking about temperatures of like 97, 96, and the Plumes is very much conservative compared to those forecasts. They're going for temperatures, or it is going for temperatures only around 90 when we get to Friday. This is for LaGuardia Airport now,
Right.
And as far as precipitation is concerned, they do have on the 3-hour QPF, it peaks at 8 o'clock in the evening on Friday and drops maybe about 4/100ths of an. I mean, not all that much, but it does indicate or suggest there might be a shower or thunderstorm by the end of the day on Friday, and then the amounts kind of drop off as we move on into the start of the weekend. Before anything else, I also mentioned two things on the chat board. Number one, Harold Olson was talking about his wish that he had weather records available going back to 1816, 1816 is the year without a summer. It was the year after the great volcanic eruption of Tambora out in the far east, which apparently put a tremendous aerosol cloud of ash and dust into the atmosphere, which blocked the sun's rays, reflected them back into space, and caused the temperatures across the northern hemisphere to drop significantly for the year 1816. And there have been some references saying that in parts of New England it snowed in every month of the year. But Harold Olson, if you wish to get hold of weather records going back that far, you really ought to go on Google and Google the book that was written in 1966. See if it's available by David Ludlam, the great weather historian David Ludlam, who wrote not one but two books, each one named Early American Winters, Part One, which goes from like the 1600s to 1820, and then 1820 to I think the early 1900s, Part Two. Early American Winters by David Ludlam. And if you want any kind of weather records, not just for New England, but wherever America had weather stations back way back when, David Ludlam has them in those books. I happen to have copies on my bookshelf here. I'm not sure if you could still get them through Amazon or Barnes and Noble, but if you can find them, get them because they are excellent. They are well worth whatever price you may have to pay to get them. Ludlam, who I knew personally, was probably the number one weather and climate historian who wrote a number of books on weather history, and he's the guy to consult if you want any kind of information on weather records. And Joe, guess who's on the chat board tonight?
I know, I
Ruben
see. Yeah,
Fairchild.
Ruben Fairchild is drooling over my biceps, apparently. So we have that. Um,
He also said
and I
he
did
was
not shave
hoping.
off my. Does this look like I shaved off my goatee? I trimmed it all the way down, but I did not shave it off.
Yeah, he was hoping that you would shave. He says, "I hope Mr. Chaffee shaved his goatee."
No, I did not. I did not shave the goatee. It's still there. I just shaved it. I just trimmed it all the way, much lower than where what it has been. Also, Brandon Doherty hit the tip jar tonight. Thanks, Brandon, for hitting super chat. Most appreciated on this Tuesday night. And with that, I think we can go to Briller Jeopardy, which
And
you
I
have.
have it. I have it.
You
And
have
let
it.
me. I have it, and I'm going to get it, and we'll see what we and see something about that there. Let me just get. I got to switch to this and go to that, and come on up, and here it is. Yes. So we continue on Briller Jeopardy with average number of 90-degree days from June through August, June the 1st through August 31st. And we have five new cities here. The average number of days where the temperature has hit 90 degrees or higher. And we start with, and by the way, we're talking about in that August 1st to that June 1st to August 31st time frame, we're talking about 92 days. So out of those 92 days, how many of those 92 saw temperatures at or above 90 in Las Vegas?
Out of the 92 days from June to, I mean,
Beginning of June to the end of August.
is it possible that it's 92?
You know,
Um,
I will
I'll
say
say
this:
I'll say 85.
not high enough, Joe.
Really? Okay. Well, it's only off. The most it could be off with is by 7. David Fuller says 88.
David Fuller, you get the WCBS News Radio 88
88.
Award. 88,
WCBS News Time is 8:06.
88 days at or above 90 degrees. I would rather die first. I'd kill myself if I were living in that type of a climate. Anyway, how about Memphis? Memphis, Tennessee. How many days, 90 or
Hmm.
above, between June 1st and August 31st on average?
On average. I'll say I'm trying to remember what was Atlanta's yesterday.
Well, you
So
had that. You had the Briller
I
Ripper.
forgot that. Yeah, well, let me just take a look for yesterday. It's not cheating. I'm just if my memory would work better than it does, I would remember this. Um, let's see. Hmm.
Wait a
I'll
minute,
s-
Joe. I had it.
you had it. You had
I
Atlanta,
had.
right?
I had Atlanta. Atlanta had 40 90-degree
40.
days.
I'll
40.
I'll go a little bit lower with Memphis, and I'll say 36.
Way off.
Really? Too
Much
low?
too low. Too low.
Too
Yes.
low. Okay. Um,
I'll tell you this. It's more than Atlanta had.
Vincent Croce's at 45.
Still too low.
David Fuller's at 55,
That's a lot closer.
but still higher?
It's got to be higher. Yes. Mike Waterhouse
Really?
Bonsai, 56. Getting even closer.
Frank Scalera's at 58.
And where's the bell? Frank!
We love you,
58
Frank
Memphis.
Scalera.
There you go. How about Mary Richards Town,
Minnie No
Minneapolis?
Place. I'm sorry, Minneapolis. I take it
Yes.
back. Um, oh, 13.
An excellent guess. It's a little on the high side, but it's an excellent guess nonetheless.
Okay. Tyler Figge's got 11.
And Sue Ann Niven would give you the seal of approval. It is 11. 11 days at
I
or
love.
above 90.
I loved her. My favorite character, one of my favorite TV characters, Sue Ann Nivens. Betty White was brilliant in that part.
One of the best moments in that show in its 7 year history was when Gavin McLeod, Murray Slaughter, lifted Betty White up bodily
Oh, and
and
put her in the. Yeah,
dropped her on top of a wedding cake that she was making.
yeah, that was hilarious. They just
Yes.
wrote her. They just wrote her character so brilliantly.
Oh yeah. She was the perfect Sue Ann.
Hmm.
Yep. And she preceded, in today's world, the real life Sue Ann Niven probably would be Martha Stewart, right?
No, well, no, because Sue Ann, Sue Ann was a happy homemaker, but when she was not she also was you know, a man chasing sex maniac. So
Yes.
I don't know that you would say that Martha Stewart's that type, um, but I just love the character. It was just Betty White just played it to the hilt. She was brilliant. Anyway, what's the next city?
This New Orleans. I think I'll stay for the Matty McGrath. New
Right.
Orleans, Joe.
Um, well, I'll say. I mean, it seems like it's when I lived there, it seemed like it was every day from June to August. Uh, I'll say 75.
A reasonably good estimate or a guesstimate, but just a tad too high.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
It's
more
like
than
the
a
first
tad.
part of June is not crazy, but you get into once you get that get deep enough into June, it's like 90 plus, it's 90 every day. But it really doesn't often get much higher than 91 or 2. But um but you get it every single day. So 75 is a little too high. Latex Dreams at 66. Frank R's at 68. Maggie P's at 70.
Well, Krishnapedia is very close with 67.
Uh, Alfred Phillips
Mrs.
at 69. And Frank R's at 68.
Latex Dreams, you're in snake country with that, with your 66.
So Christina Petey is at 67. I said Frank R's got 68.
No, no, that's a little bit on the warm side. Not
Okay,
warm side,
so we're looking
too
for a
nice.
six. Mike Waterhouse Bonsai with 65.
Are you looking at the same thing I'm looking at? Mike Waterhouse says 70 here.
No, then he just put up another
They
one
said
at
it's
65.
65. So you changed in midstream. That is the correct answer.
Okay,
65.
65.
And finally, number 5, Central Park.
Oh, 17.
And that's right. Let's give him a big bell here. Ding,
At
ding,
end,
ding, ding.
end of show.
And the bonus.
The
What
bonus.
what is the all-time high in Yuma, Arizona? And here's a hint. Yuma is 185 miles southwest of Phoenix. The all-time high temperature in Yuma, Arizona.
I'll say $1.25.
Joe, you're that close.
$1.25 is that close. So it's either
Yeah.
126 or 124. So Maggie P says 126.
Nope.
And David Fuller says 124.
And that's it.
And so does William Uber.
124. And in case you're wondering when that happened, it was July 28th, 1995. 30 years ago. 124 degrees in Yuma, Arizona.
Wow. Oh well.
And you
Yeah,
remember
I wouldn't like to live there.
and you remember the George Carlin bit Divorce Game, and on one of the contestants was a gentleman who occupation was he's a pearl diver from Yuma and been out of work for some time now.
Pearl diver. All right. On that note, we're going to wrap it up, and we'll be back tomorrow. I think we're going to take Thursday off. So we'll because how many times can we say that Friday it's going to be in the mid to upper 90s if it does get that high.
Yep.
But we'll be here Sunday in case we get some big thunderstorms like the European has. So Brandon Darty, thanks for hitting the tip jar, and thanks everybody for being here tonight. And we'll see everyone tomorrow night at 7:35. Have a great night.
Good night, folks. Have fun.